What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got another fun historic deck for you guys. This one we're looking at a Mardu sacrifice list. So it's kind of similar to the best of one list that I made not too long ago. However, this one's for historic and it's best of three. And one of the focal points here is the Phyrexian Obliterator, which we just got in Historic Anthology 3. It's kind of an old favorite for a lot of people. A lot of people, though, it is a new card, one that people don't even read, so you can really get people pretty good with this one. It's a 4 mana 5/5 with trample. Now it is 4 black mana, so keep that in mind. And whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. So I did make that sacrifice deck not too long ago. And then when I saw the Obliterator, I was trying to figure out, some way to do it differently, and so I did just kind of jam it into that sacrifice shell with the Mayhem Devil and things like that to get additional value off forcing your opponent to potentially sacrifice permanents. So this deck here, we're talking about Mayhem Devil, of course, is a 3 mana 3/3. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. So nice thing about Mayhem Devil, it doesn't care if it's you or your opponent. Any player sacrifices something, boom, you get to deal damage to something. And Mythos of Snapdax, another powerful way for us to force sacrifice triggers. For 4 mana, 2 white, black and red, each player chooses an artifact, creature, or enchantment, and planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. And as long as we're spending mana of Mardu colors, we get to choose the permanents for each player instead. So that's pretty fantastic. We get to choose their weakest creature, planeswalker, enchantment, etc., and then they have to sacrifice everything else. And if we have 1 or 2 Mayhem Devils out, we're going to get a ton of triggers off of that. So that's pretty fantastic. So it's just kind of a great way to kind of help control our opponent's board state. And we're also running here 4 copies here of Murderous Rider, 2 copies of Angrath's Rampage, and 4 copies of Chainer's Edict as our removal package. As far as focusing on the sacrifice, so lots and lots of sacrifice effects here. And Chainer's Edict, of course, is fantastic because you can flash it back for 7 mana, which is a little bit steep, but definitely there will be games that go on long enough that you'll see 7 mana. And this will actually be relevant in certain matchups. And then for some target removal, we have just 2 copies here of Heartless Act. Another creature that works well with the sacrifice strategy is Cruel Celebrant. It's a 2 mana 1/2, of course. Whenever it or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1 life. So Celebrant only cares about our own creatures, so that is something to keep in mind. And then we also have a couple copies here of Serrated Scorpion, 4 to be exact. It's a 1/2 for 1 mana, so that's pretty decent. Whenever it dies, deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. So this works great with both the Celebrant and the Mayhem Devil. And then we also have 4 copies here of Knight of the Ebon Legion. Just kind of gives us an additional aggressive slant here on as a 1-drop that's pretty powerful to go along with our Phyrexian Obliterator. So we can kind of go a little bit aggro in certain situations. And then we also have 2 copies here of Kaya's Ghostform to protect our Obliterator or Mayhem Devil or whatever the case may be. So that whenever it dies or is exiled, we get it right back to the battlefield. Which, of course, works well with things like Mythos of Snapdax. And being able to put this on a Phyrexian Obliterator so your opponent can't get rid of it with direct removal is fantastic as well. So we're running 24 lands because we want to make sure we get to these 3 and 4 drops consistently. And the Phyrexian Obliterator, like I said, is 4 mana of black to cast it. So we want to make sure we have as much black mana as possible. So everything in here taps for black. So we've got the Castle Locthwain, 2 Swamp, Godless Shrine, Isolated Chapel, all has 4 ofs. Just the 1 Temple of Silence, 1 Temple of Malice, all 4 Blood Crypts, and all 4 Dragonskull Summits, and then just the 3 of the Mardu Triomes. That's the main deck here. Going over the sideboard here, we have 2 copies of Mortify to kind of help us deal with target removal for creatures, and mostly here for enchantments as well. Tibalt, of course, you have to be able to answer the life gain decks in Historic. They're still pretty powerful and popular. Legion's End, you do need some way to answer things like Adanto Vanguard, and so Legion's End is a way to help us deal with that. Of course, the Mythos of Snapdax can help out as well, but you need some additional way, especially in the early game, because you don't want to be taking 3 turn after turn, and there's definitely other creatures you need to answer as well. Agonizing Remorse for those mid-range and control matchups, looking at your opponent's hand, force them to exile something. Soul Guide Lantern, you need some way to deal with her graveyard. You could run Leyline of Void, of course, so it's kind of a toss-up. But we do have some pretty powerful 4-drops already, so I want to kind of play it safe with the Soul Guide Lantern. You also need ways to deal with people trying to cheat out spells, so a couple copies of Grafdigger Cage. And then final here, it's kind of a cheeky one of Gideon's Sacrifice. Something I'd kind of noticed, but I hadn't really put too much thought into, and then some of those kind of pointed out. on Twitter. It was Noxious. And Gideon sacrifice with Phyrexian Obliterator is pretty amazing because when you choose a creature or planeswalker you control, all damage that will be dealt this turn to you and permanents you control is dealt to the chosen permanent instead. So if you get a some kind of a like those elemental decks with like the Finale or the Enraged Forerunners, things like that, you can just let them go off and have their fun and do their thing. They're swinging in for total overkill, and you just say no blocks. You got a Phyrexian Obliterator out, hold up white mana, cast Gideon Sacrifice. All the damage that will be dealt to you is now dealt to the Obliterator instead, and it's probably going to be like 80, 90, 100 damage, and now that damage is dealt to the Obliterator, and they have to sacrifice 90 permanents or whatever. So that's basically their entire board. So just kind of a cheeky little one of, you could get people. I just kind of threw it in there in my most recent iteration, so I haven't actually gotten to use it against somebody, but we'll jump into some best of 3, and maybe we'll get somebody with it. All right. Hope you guys are staying safe wherever you're at. Definitely excited to see what the bans are going to be coming up. Got changes to the companion mechanic, bans in historic and standard. So, a lot of people have expressed frustration at both of those formats, as well as the companion mechanic. So hopefully they will take some reasonable steps to adjust those. All right, against Richard Garfield, PhD. Sure. All right, way to go first. Hand's a little awkward, but I think we'll keep it and just scry into a creature, and then of course we have removal. I do love seeing the Obliterator, so it's sketchy, but we'll keep it. And I don't like the mulligan, so. One has a nice rat sleeve, those are pretty cool. They mold to 5. Rider. Oh, we got all the removal. Sure. So I guess we'll just go Godless Shrines, and we'll have all 3 of our colors. And then we can have Edict or Rider the turn after, depending on what our opponent's up to. Swamp, go. Alright. Godless Shrine, your turn. So a bit of a slow start, but we have a nice removal here and a powerful Phyrexian Obliterator. Still nothing from our opponent. I think we should go Summit just to hold up the Murderous Rider. And hopefully our opponent plays a creature we can kill. No, they just passed turn immediately. I mean, we could run the Obliterator out there, but I'm sure they're just going to kill it. And 3 black mana, they'll probably hold a Murderous Rider of their own. We could just say, screw it and get it out their hand. I mean, we do have 2 Kaya's Ghostform, but we don't have any in hand, and who knows if we'll draw any, so just see what removal package they're running and go from there. I was just going to be sitting here for a long time. So cast down, sure. It's a pretty reasonable removal spell. And we'll run out the Mayhem Devil and see what their next removal is. No removal. Up to 5 lands. And we've just seen a cast down from them so far. Settle the score. I've not seen that card in a long time. Well, let's just run out the Scorpion and the Murderous Rider as a creature. Is this like a Liliana Dreadhorde General deck? Phyrexian Arena. Okay, Soren's Thirst. And gain 2, lose 2. Sweet. So we do have Mortifies in the sideboard. So might want to bring those in. We're going to fill their hand up here pretty quickly. And they have all the mana to cast everything they need. Could Heartless Act, but I think we'll just Edict. And Mayhem Devil, perfect. Target player, that's you. Enemy of Alignment, such a bad card. I tried a deck with it once before, and it just, yeah, it's one of those cards that much as I like to brew and try different things, that is not a card I would really consider playing. So now they have Duress into Murder. So we do have Edict mana. 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, we're at 6. And we have Heartless Act as well, so we're a pretty decent spot. We do need to find more threats. But this arena is helping dwindle our opponent's life total. Another one. Of course, they just have a gray Merchant of Asphodel, which would kind of suck, because they're going to be gaining 3, 6, 8 now. So our life total is doing just fine, though. Okay, so we'll get rid of their creature, just to make sure we get through for some damage here. Hit them for 3, play it out as a creature. They're going to take 2, go down to 5. And we'll have a bunch of removal here. They're pretty much dead. Eldest Reborn. So down to 4. We have 4 on board. Okay, and nothing. So yeah, just kind of a mono black control, I guess. Let's try to hit their hand. Edicts are actually decent because if they have discard, we can discard them. Didn't see any planeswalkers, but we could see like a Davriel or something. So we would have a go wide, so maybe Mythos is pretty medium here. Liege Zen can answer the Fenlurker, but doesn't seem great. Could have the Heartless Act, I guess. And we have all 4 Murderous Riders here, with the Edict and the Rampage, and they're pretty light on creatures and heavy on control, so let's try it like that. Obviously the Phyrexian Arena card draw can be pretty scary, but doesn't really do much good there. Like, they just kind of sped up the clock for us, so. But we'll see how game 2 goes. I'm guessing they're just on mono black devotion, but just more control heavy. But still, it's probably just a gray Merchant of Asphodel deck. Which can be kind of annoying, but we do have life gain, of course, in the form of Cruel Celebrant to kind of help us not die to just them dropping a gray out of nowhere. Or Gary, as most players refer to him as. So they're down in bronze. They could just be a on a budget brew, or maybe it's kind of an older version with the Eldest Reborns. So whenever you are. And I see that timer kick in. Maybe they've lost their connection. And there it goes. So they'll have some time to respond. There we go. Turn 1 Duress. Okay, I guess they didn't like our Knight and Kaya's Ghostform. Sweet. jump into another match. Alright, up against Scaddy. Okay, they've got Umori and Narset Sleeves. Okay, Dauntless Bodyguard. Oh, we'll go Serrated Scorpion here. Oh, they're going for it. Sure. So they lose their 2-1. We hit them for a bunch of damage. Seems pretty good. Just play Knight. And we have 4 lands, so maybe we'll just Temple here. Kind of fix our next draw. And if we keep drawing lands, then we'll just put up the Triome to cycle it. If they play a creature, we can just Murderous Rider it. Otherwise, we'll probably just play a Blood Crypt and Cruel Celebrant. So Umori Humans. They can hit for 3 here. So, I guess that's a reasonable rider target. Alright, so we're learning Dauntless Bodyguard and Tajik. Mardu Human. So this is probably going to have like a Judith, General Kudro. Okay, Umori. Let's attack first. Drop the Mayhem Devil. And next turn we'll have 5 mana to Cruel Celebrant and drop the Zombie Knight. And we'll just hold up the Triome to cycle it. Ooh, Hostage Taker, that's pretty, that's something. I'll hit for 4. And a second Tajik. I'll hit for 7. In that case, I think we just have to do a Celebrant and then kill the Hostage Taker. So they don't get to cast our Mayhem Devil. And we got our Mayhem Devil back as well. Since we're down to 8, I think we just have to stay back here on defense. We don't have good blocks though. Okay, now they get to see our land. Sweet. Tithe Taker. And the last card is land. Okay, so they can attack here for 7. Do we block? We kind of have to. We're going to take 1 in the air next turn. I guess we just block Umori. Doesn't matter too much, but is the biggest threat. Although Tajik will mentor next turn. Taking 3 down to 5. Yeah, we're pretty much dead at this point. So here to the Mayhem Devil. Get 1 back thanks to the Celebrant. Don't love doing this, but we do get a couple life-linking bodies down to help hopefully buy us some time. So they're just going to attack in the air for 1. Or 2 if they Tajik. I got us down to 4, so I'll just attack all. Nope. So they're going to give it first strike. Kill a Murderous Rider. Then the second one will kill it, but then we're down to 2, and then they got the Kite Sail at 2 taking away at us next turn. So we get 1 right there off the Celebrants, and we get 1 more off of, no, Okay. Mayhem Devil is decent. Actually, we'll hold that up so we also have mana to activate. Now let's actually attack in just to make sure we gain life. So they're playing Umori, so we know whatever it is, it's a creature or land. Oh wow, 4 colors. I'll drop the Celebrant. Thought we had 3 mana open to cycle, but it just kind of passed right there. That was weird. We'll attack with these 2. Okay, they blocked at a 1/1. So they're hitting us for 3 next turn. Can't do too much about these flyers. General's Enforcer. And land. Okay, so they hit us for 3. We drop to 4. Let's see, if we draw a removal spell, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we draw a removal spell, we can kill the Enforcer and pump the Knight. Obliterator is not it. I think we still just attack all, and if they block a Celebrant, always gain some life back that way as well. And they can't attack in with the Enforcer because we have the Horror here waiting. Okay, they do have the mana open to activate Enforcer, make a 1/1. Sure. How are you going to block? Block the Rider. Interesting. So we hit him for 1, 2, 6. Nothing dies, so I think we'll just let it go. We get the 2 off the Rider at least. I don't want to shock in. I think we're just protecting our life total as much as we can. Okay, they play another Enforcer, and they have 1 mana to activate 1 more time. Get rid of our Scorpion, so they can make 1 more 1/1. But we have Trample here and activation here. So I think we're in a decent spot. Whew. I did not think we were going to pull that off, but we got there. We had the removal spell as well. Perfect. Okay, so they're not running Planeswalkers or artifacts, so let's drop those. Legion's End hits them pretty hard. This could be a Gideon sacrifice opportunity. Maybe lose the Ghostform. Don't think we have to worry about these 2. Mortify. Yeah, so if they do go wide on us, we have the Gideon sacrifice. We just let them attack in and hold up sacrifice with an Obliterator. That could be pretty sweet if we pull it off. Otherwise, we'll just see if we can get them with Mythos of Snapdax, maybe. So obviously, them going first is going to be a lot tougher. The matchup was already pretty rough. But we did get off to a slow start with a handful of removal, so we'll see. 1 land is not keepable. If one of these Obliterators was like a Godless Shrine, then this would be a keep. But alright. I do like keeping these lands, especially with a Mayhem Devil. I guess we drop a Edict. So Godless Shrine into Summit. That way we have the Heartless Act open. There's an Obliterator, that's pretty cool. So we'll get to attack us for at least 2. Let's go Summit, and then shock in for a Mayhem Devil here. Okay, they get the Heartless Act. I think we're just going with Blood Crypt. I mean, they're only showing 3 power on board and just 3 cards in hand, it looks like. So not in the worst spot. Temple is fine here, so we do have 4 black mana for the Obliterator now. And we can scry away any lands. Perfect. I'll probably just go Summit into Devil, play Blood Crypt tapped. Okay, Bodyguard can protect the freebooter. Heartless Act is decent. Do we kill anything here? I think we'll just play a 3/3. We could Hostage Taker, which would be pretty backbreaking, but we'll see. Exclusion Mage, okay. I bounce it, swing in for 5, drop us down to 10. Let's go for the Obliterator. It's the high value play, high risk, high reward. And if we draw a land, we can Mayhem Devil and Heartless Act. But there's a reasonable chance they have an Exclusion Mage or Hostage Taker. Yeah. Humans decks are pretty sweet. Just run it back and try not to get destroyed this time. So now we have a turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 play. Except we have 2 tap lands, which is a little awkward. Guess we just lead with one of them because we don't want to screw ourselves up in the later rounds. And depending on what they do, we could Edict or Scorpion here on our turn 2. Tap land, perfect. So we'll just Scorpion and play another tap land. And we can Edict, Act, or Devil next turn. A shock in for a freebooter maybe? Yep. Okay, so they can take one of these. Don't really care too much. Opponent got off to a slower start this time. Is pretty good for us. Drop our Mayhem Devil and pass the turn. Okay, we can Temple and try to find some more removal. I just hope to dodge Exclusion Mages and Hostage Takers. It's pretty annoying. Although with them getting off to a slow start, it's not terrible. Okay. I guess that's better than Tajik. We'll do that so we can drop both of these. Pass the turn. Okay, looks like a Hostage Taker here. If that's all they do, we just Heartless Act it, that's fine. Or they just go for Umori, which we can also Heartless Act. Deputy. And then the Bodyguard comes down protecting Deputy, so yeah, we're in a pretty rough spot here. Swing for a 3. Mayhem Devil. Let's attack in. Just do 1. Drop the Mayhem Devil and Temple. Alright, So there's a Murderous Rider, which will dodge the freebooter, but it's on top of our library anyway, so that's fine. So we have double removal next turn. So they can always hit for 1 in the air. Let's see if they have another effect here. So the bodyguard is protecting the deputy, so we'll have to deal with the bodyguard at some point. They still have 4 cards in hand and the Umori, so they're in a pretty good spot. I think Mythos of Snapdax would probably be our best draw, though. But wasn't going to say no to a Murderous Rider. So we'll have to target the bodyguard, hostage taker. I think we just block here just to kind of buy us a little more time. We'll take one more. We'll save it just to kind of keep the bodyguard at bay. Although we're going to have to kill the bodyguard and the hostage taker here. They sacrifice it. So could have killed it in response, but doesn't really matter. We want to make sure they don't cast it. Still not in a good spot, but we're not out of it yet. Shocking, that's not good. So good Tajik and hold up first strike. General's Enforcer. And Tajik, yep. They're going to attack in with it, so they have another one. Oh, it's indestructible because of the Enforcer. So we'll just block. That's pretty brutal. So we'll play the Rider down just as a lifelink creature, and we'll hold up mana to activate our Knight. But yeah, we're not in a good spot here. These human decks are pretty powerful. Yeah, I don't think there's any coming back from this. Very aggressive decks. Just enough answers with the Exclusion Mage, Hostage Taker, and Freebooter. So just a nice mix, especially when they draw in those sequences. It's kind of rough. Alright, up against Mr. 211. Gonna go first. Well, we got the turn 1 Knight. Turn 2 Scorpion or removal. Let's go and lead with the Godless Shrine so we can summit next turn and have more options. Okay, so draw like a Cruel Celebrant. Our opponent playing 78 cards. Island, go. I'll attack for 1. Play Scorpion and Blood Crypt tapped. Next turn we can play removal or activate. Okay, Simic. Oh, 78 card Merfolk. Sweet. Alright, get rid of that. Deep Root Elite is a nice value engine for a Merfolk. Simic Ascendancy. Yes, they're on some jank. I think I want to get this Mayhem Devil down. So it's not Merfolk Tribal, we're doing something else. Oh, so it is Merfolk, but all the Merfolk with counters. That's pretty cool. Alright, let's attack in, see what they do. And we're going to play our 4th land out. So Heartless Act doesn't do much against the champion because they're going to start putting counters on it, I would imagine. But we do have the Edict if they don't play another creature here. But I think just putting as much pressure on them as possible is the best route. So down to 3 cards in hand. But just 1 creature on board. Nice to see this card getting some play. Deeproot Champion. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, land and activate the Simic Ascendancy. I was going to say attack for 2. That seems a little sketchy. So just 1 creature out. Heartless Act does not kill it because of the counter. So now we put them down to 6 and attack for 6. That's why these sacrifice effects are in here. Alright. Take out the Rampage for the Mortifies. 7 some more target removal. Heartless Act obviously doesn't work against their counters, but Legion's End exiles both of their creatures. I don't think Ghostform does much against them. I think I'd rather bring in a couple Agonizing Remorse. I'm sure they have some tricks up their sleeves, some counter magic maybe. Tricky Simic Ascendancy player. No Ozolith though, but maybe it's in there since they're running what 70-something cards. We're missing the white mana for these 2, but we do have the Edict and potentially Devil and Rider. So definitely not trusting the Shuffler here to give us a better hand. So we'll keep this, especially on the draw. So we can definitely Edict next turn, whatever they play. I don't know if we find lands from there. It is a 3rd land, but not the one we were looking for. Yeah, our opponent has both their colors now. Primal Empathy. Alright. I think we'll just drop our Mayhem Devil, even though actually we can't Mortify yet. And no reason to hold up the Murderous Rider. Ooh, Kraken. There's our white man. So yeah, we'll drop the Celebrant. And we'll make them sacrifice their Kraken. Sweet. That's kind of a cool little deck they got going on with the Merfolk that get counters and the Kraken that gets counters with Simic Ascendancy and Primal Empathy. Take from the jankier side, I don't know if you really want 70-something cards. I think you'd probably want to trim it down to have a more focused build. Avian Oddity. Seems pretty legit. Alright, we'll just keep getting rid of their stuff. Attack for 4. Yeah, burn it down to 11. We got a pretty good board state. We're going to get a counter here. Alright. So we could Mythos if we find another white land. As we just Ominous Murderous Rider. Excuse me. Ominous Seas. Hydroid Crisis for 2. Obliterator is a good one. Oh, they're a long way from doing anything with the Ominous Seas. So I think we just attack. Attack. The safe play would be to kill the Krasis, but I think since their life total is so low, we'll just drop the Obliterator and see what they can do. So you get a counter on the Krasis, but it's still just a 3/3. Alright, last card in hand is Hydra's Growth. So they are pretty much dead. Yep. Alright, yeah, kind of a cool idea. Some like definitely some potential to play around with that. Ominous Seas might be a little greedy for what they're trying to do, but I don't know, not something I've looked at too closely. Yeah, I think I'm just going to wrap it up there. Yeah, pretty fun stuff. The sacrifice build with Phyrexian Obliterator as your top end finisher is pretty sweet. Obviously not super competitive, but it's definitely fun at the lower ranks. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, make sure you jank with a perp.